Greetings. I pray that everyone is remaining healthy and safe. The title for this video is not clickbait. My worst fear for 2020 came to fruition as of Saturday this month. My son tested positive for COVID-19, and I wanted to share my experience. Stay tuned. I had to shoot that intro while I was out and about to commit myself to making this video, otherwise I more than likely would not have. In recent times, I've had at least 2 videos deleted by YouTube stating that I wasn't saying what the CDC was saying, or I was putting out information that didn't align with the CDC. So it's with great care that I'm going to make this video, but it is factual information, and it's about how I've managed with a pre-existing medical condition, someone with COVID-19. I'm going to provide a little bit of the backstory. And there was really not a lot of information about it. There was a lot of hysteria about it. I learned to stop watching the hysteria, stop watching the news, stop watching the powers that be talk about COVID and how many people had it and how many people are dying from it, especially when medical professionals, which has never occurred in the history of my history, where doctors are saying something is wrong, we're doing something wrong. And so I learned to turn off the news, which is frankly these days harassing the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. But I digress. So 2020, I was very fearful about getting COVID-19 because you all know that I am healing from lung cancer. I homeschooled my son in 2020 and part of this year. It was unsuccessful. Plus, with all the positive information that's coming out about alternate avenues to stay out of the hospital when you get COVID and what to do to boost your immune system and things like that. So I sent him back to school. And so it's been about a month, August, September, we got the actual doctor's notice. I went to take him to get tested, and we got that he did have COVID-19. So I feel empowered, especially because this is day number 4. So going back to the beginning, I did my video about what's in my medicine cabinet, and I will link that below. And I used that, but I didn't use everything, and I'm going to go in a little bit more detail. I get a call at 11:02 from my son saying that, can I come get him? His back is hurting, and his legs were, he was shaking, and he felt like his legs were going to give out. So of course I rushed to the school, and when I got there, the nurse said that he was running a 101 temperature. She believed that he was just achy all over, and it wasn't necessarily his back or his legs, but he was aching, and that I should get him checked out. So with me being the kind of person that I am, and hearing all of the information about COVID from the alternative sources, I'm like, well, this is something definitely I can handle, here in my home. I'm going to get him stable, and for the sake of the school, to be considerate, I will get him tested the following day. And so I brought him home, put him in the bed. He was shivering. He was literally like, you could hear him like, he was shivering. He balled himself up. He had a headache. He was saying that his back hurt. He felt weak all over. So immediately I went to work and did the things on this list. So I gave him the things to boost his immune system, which are on the list. I put a star by him. And then I began to, I wanted to concentrate on turmeric and ginger. I should have did peppermint too, but I didn't. And things to help him deal with the inflammation and deal with his fever. So he was running up, the nurse said 101 temperature. By the time he got home and got in the bed, it was at 102. No, it was at 103. And I became alarmed. after I did my first preliminary things. And then I rubbed him down with alcohol. And it broke the fever a little bit. The fever went down to 101. And so I just continued to doctor on him. Drinking water was critical during this time because half the things that I was giving him was detoxing and pulling things out of his tissues that were, riding on his immune system. So he had to continuously drink water. And that's one thing that I will say, because of the kind of mother I am, he really doesn't get orange juices and things like that. We pretty much drink water daily. And he has a little, I believe I'm going to get the exact measurement, but I think it's at least 24 ounces of water that he drinks on a regular basis, two of them. His temperature went back up to 103. It was like 103.3. And then I, decided that I was going to go ahead and hit him with the cold bath, which my sister says is really extreme and a little cruel, but I've done a cold bath. If you're burning up, and you're trying to do things naturally, when I tell you all, he did not complain. He laid down in that bath. Um, I thought he would lay in it and, and I have to coach him through it, for 5 minutes or whatever and have him get out. But he laid in that bath and I knocked on the door like, are you okay? What's going on in there? And I said, well, let me take your temperature. And when I took his temperature was still 103. When I opened up the bathroom door, you know how when you're running a hot bath and the room is heated up? The room was heated up. And when I stuck my hand in the water was hot, was warm to the touch, like more than lukewarm. I rubbed him down with alcohol again. It didn't do anything for the fever. By this time, we're in the evening time. So I was like, okay, I've never encountered anything like this with this fever uh, aching him. So I will say with the preliminary stuff, he stopped with the chills. He stopped with the aching, all like just the weak, fatigued, achy feeling. He continues to have the headache. His back continued to hurt, and he continued to run that fever. So I was like, okay, let me find out for real what I'm dealing with here. It got real serious. His temperature was 103.9, and it pretty much tried to stay that way throughout the day. It's evening time. It's around 7 or something like that. And I was like, well, I got to find out what I'm dealing with. Do I need to contact Americans Frontline Doctors and pay that $150 fee to get some help? Do I have to go to my free doctor, myfreedoctor.com? Like, what action do I need to take to stop my child from suffering? And so he was well enough for me to put him in the vehicle, and we went to the first emergency location. Now, it wasn't a full hospital, but it's not an urgent care. It is like an annex to an emergency room. And when we went there, on the door before you even get in there, it said, for the courtesy of our our employees, we are not doing COVID-19 testing. And I'm thinking, aren't all these people vaccinated? Like, what? How are you not doing COVID-19 testing? So we got back in the vehicle and drove to the next facility, which is once again an emergency room, but it's not an urgent care. It's literally like a little hospital. And I left him inside, and I went in there and I talked to her, and um she said that the doctor would see him for his symptoms, but it did not necessarily mean that he was going to get a COVID-19 test, and that he would be treated for his symptoms, which was headache, backache, and fever. And I didn't even want to go in that rabbit hole and get them to doing stuff to him with their medicine and making things worse. So I was like, okay. I asked her, do you have a list of places I could go to get a COVID-19 test? So it was around 8 o'clock, around about this time, and she gave me this these papers, and I'm going through them trying to find out where can I get them tested for COVID-19. Now, mind you, there is insurance involved, and I didn't understand why the facilities would not give them a COVID-19 test when it would be covered by the medical insurance, but they're designating that for other entities. I found out later on after getting this list here. But I began to look through it because I know that when we got in the vehicle, my son's temperature was 103.9, almost 104. So I'm looking through here and I'm like, this closes at 4 o'clock. This closes at, well, this one closes at 9 o'clock, but they're going to charge you $110 for the test. This one says you have to make an appointment. So it was like this whole thing about going online, and I did not have access to the internet. This one says it closes at 5, but the test is 160. No, the office visit is 160, and the COVID test is $260. And so I just went through this list and found out that most places had already closed. Up until this point, I had tried to do everything organic. I tried to do everything natural. With the 103, I had to come down off of it and say I have to do something to affect this temperature. Tylenol is right here. Now this product has not been in my house for, I know, at least 4 years. And what I found out about this was that I know that it can give you ulcers and things like that, but it also taxes your liver. And when you do that Tylenol, Advil, Tylenol, or ibuprofen, Tylenol, switching back and forth like the pediatricians tell you to do, that one slows down, doing it back and forth slows down your body's ability to get rid of this chemical. I will list it up here, which is the active ingredient in here. I found out what to do to combat that, because he doesn't need to be fighting off virus and also taxing his liver at the same time any more than his liver was already taxed, working along with the immune system to deal with this COVID-19 virus. I gave him 2 of these, and his fever broke. With everything that I had done, I knew that it was working, like I said, because he stopped being achy and things like that, but his fever broke and his back stopped hurting. It was like 98 points. It was normal. I was exhausted, and we both went to bed. So the method that I did was better than the go home and die, or go home and get so desperate that you will let us do whatever we feel like we need to do scientifically to get you stable and quote unquote save your life. But the next day was Saturday. He woke up, his temperature was 99 point something. It was low grade, and I did my regimen, which I will list on the screen. And thankfully, I was able to get to the internet and book him an appointment. They were able to see him that day. And of course, we confirmed that, you know, he did in fact have COVID-19. And I was not concerned at all. I said, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. If he returns to like he was the day before, just in turmoil, just suffering, just in pain, I will contact myfreedoctor.com and get help. I will go to americasfrontline.org and get some help. I'm going to do what I need to do. And the reason why I'm saying this is because after we tested positive, the pediatrician was like, well, he just needs to go home, get plenty of rest, and eat lots of good healthy things. And no contact for 10 days. And I mean, that's it. And that's what they told me. Now, what I deal with Friday, what good things? What are good things? Ice cream. Oh, baby, you're suffering. Here's some ice cream. Here's some cookies. None of that. Was this soup? It does have a little sugar cane, but it is not sweet. And once again, if it's organic, the body knows how to manage it. It's this high fructose corn syrup. this GMO sugar that is toxic, and the body has to store it in tissues and fats of the body. Saturday, he continued to run a low-grade fever. I did not give him any more Tylenol. I figured I know that the fever helps, is meaning his body is fronting an attack, is trying to burn up that thing. And so I let him run the low-grade fever. It stayed at 99. It went to 101, but his condition, like as far as the way he was behaving, he was back to normal. I mean, no, he was back to normal. Like, after Friday's doctoring on him, and with the help of the Tylenol, he was back to normal, like literally. I had to, and I would have loved to have, changed the sheets. We did change the sheets, did a load of clothes, cleaned up his room, and some other things, all stuck in his room though, because I am being intelligent about this. I do know that there are ways to combat COVID, but I'm not trying to make a video about how I dealt with it too. So he did things in his room, spent the rest of the time in the bed watching TV, playing on his tablet, and everything was back to normal, but he still ran that low-grade fever. Because he was running the fever, I wanted to be sure. You can't sleep on it. I've done it before where his fever went down. And I'm like, well, here goes some, there's still organic pancakes. Here goes some agave syrup for your pancakes. And I gave that to him, and his fever and the condition shot back up again. I kept him on the regimen of this soup here. Another thing that I gave him throughout is this stuff here. It has orange juice, and it's organic. Orange juice, pineapple, ginger, and I thought I saw turmeric. Yes, turmeric. And probiotics. Okay, and vitamin C. Do you see that down there? Some of my staples. I gave so much garlic that it was coming out of his pores. Not out of his mouth, but out of his pores. Literally, I had to leave for a moment, make the appointment for him to go and see the doctor to get the test. And I told him, you cannot leave this room. Stay in this room. Came home, and I smelled the garlic in the hallway of the entryway of the house. And I said, you've been out of the bed. So the garlic was coming out of his pores. But we did do the detox baths. That took away the garlic smell. This product cannot put your nose up to where you find things. If it says organic and the ingredients are on point, I'm going to try it. As you can see, I bought it from Ross. Looked it up, and it's normally $14, $15. So this was a blessing. And I typically put this in with my hot chocolate, and to me it is absolutely delicious. I had to get my note because I started to document things. On the third day, he had a 99.3 fever throughout the day on the third day. And he also said that his throat was sore. And so I kept consistent with what I was doing. When he said his throat was sore, and another day, I think it was his throat was sore, and that night he said like his chest felt funny. Also, so when I told you I found out what to do to offset the aspirin taxing him on his liver, these are two of the ingredients. But day 2, 3, and 4, we did 20 minutes outside getting direct sunlight. I have a clip I did one of the days with him, and I got some information that you can get up to 20,000 BCUs, and I'll put that clip up too. And I believe I'll have the source that I found that from as well. But his nose started to run, and I felt like that meant that the virus was trying to escape. And so I had I dipped it in the Q-tip in here, and had him swab his nose, and I had him drink some of this too. Because if the virus is going to come through there, you're going to get You're going to get nuked. Looking up more information. These are just some honorable mentions, things that I did. And I know this one is not necessary, but on day number 2, when the fever kept hanging around, which a little, it wasn't a major fever, but it was a fever, and they let me know that he was still fighting and it was still trying to get him. I looked up all the things that had quercetin in them, and this was one of them. So I started giving him this on day 2 or 3. It'll be on the cards. But I gave him the recommended amount. This was the buffer vitamin C that I gave him, and he got that consistently up until today. But in the Patrick Delves solution that I made, which I think I have a picture of it, and I had to make it today because I ran out of the elderberry. And it has this in there. Today is the day that his fever broke. I'll have a picture. And why do I say his fever broke? Because I was like annoyed about the fact that I had to rely on these. This is 500 milligrams for one, and they recommend 2. The 2 kept him stable throughout the night. But last night, which was day number 3, I was like, his temperature has been stably at, a mild temperature. I'm going to give him 1. And when I woke up, his temperature broke. Jesus, thank you, Lord. And I'll have it showing. I got some more information from Patrick Delves, just trying to figure out how I can also stay healthy. He has a totally unpharmaceutical way to keep your immune system up, and I believe I will link that video below, but some of his videos have been being deleted as well. But I incorporated some of the things that were in the video that he showed, and many of the things were already in there, like the vitamin C. He told me about the 50 milligrams of zinc. Today, it's been more of maintenance and making sure that the Tylenol isn't doing, costing him more than what it needs to, what it has to. We've been doing this. This was one of the supplements, and I just gave him the recommended amount on this. And also, Patrick Delves talked about vitamin C complex to stay healthy, and I will definitely start on these as well. Well, I was taking them anyway, but I'm going to start back on these. He specifically said vitamin B6 and vitamin 12, and if you watch that video, he'll tell you how to take them. He started on the B complex to help booster his immune system. What I did was I just followed the symptoms. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what's going on with me.